Well, that now you have installed Angular into your systems, let's get started with creating your own projects. Well, if you got any errors, you can just Google them and find solutions for them, and there will not be any problems as such. And right now you can see I am in the current directory, in the default directory of users, and I have created a folder name as Angular where I keep all my Angular projects. So we need to get into the directory where we need to create our new project. Well, hold the shift key and right click and you can open the command prompt there, or you can just click on the default command window and then type in D colon and you will be in that directory, and D signifies the directory letter in which you want to create a new project. Well, once you are into the folder where you are wanting to create a new project, just type in the new code ng new and then the project name, and in this case I am typing Angular example YT, that means year 2, and this is the default project name that I want to create right now in this directory, and we will be working upon this project throughout this course. Well, it's gonna take a little bit of time, and you guys can see a new folder has been created automatically with default files in them, and basically it takes 4 to 5 minutes to create a new project. So basically I will come back once again. Now the project has been installed, and we need to just get into the project folder by typing in this code cd then project name, and I don't know why it's not showing right now. Well, I think I just missed something. Well, not really, I should just go and copy the folder name, that will be really okay. Here it is. Oops. Well, sometimes it becomes so buggy that okay, so all we need to do is just paste the folder name, or you can just type it down if you know it correctly. And while we are in the project folder, we can see the default files and this engine and node modules folder, and we do not need to touch this folder because it is automatically handled by the CLI. Well, now we can run our project by typing ngserve, and this is the default project which we get from Angular CLI, and this is also gonna take a little bit of time because this is the first time it's running, and in the compilation phase it takes a little bit of time, like 3 to 4 minutes, and once it gets started it will just run fine. And I'm using Visual Studio Code as an editor. Well, you can download your preferred editor, whatever you want, Sublime Text, Notepad++, whatever you like to use. Well, just open up the folder which you just created with the CLI, and you can see this is the app folder which contains the files which are really required to create this project. These are the default files, although we can change them, but I will not recommend you to do so. And this is the global styles CSS file. Whatever we write in this, the styles will be applied to the whole project. Like if we want to declare something that is being used in all our pages, we can just declare it in this file. Well, now the project is running successfully. We can just do the localhost thing and see what we have got by default. And this is the default page which we get from Angular, and we can change these things. And this is the HTML that you are currently viewing on the web page, and the things are being controlled by this TypeScript file, which will eventually be compiled into JavaScript automatically by Angular. And you guys can see once we change the title and save, it automatically changes. Welcome to Angular example YouTube. Well, that's okay. And you guys can see that once you save the file, CLI automatically compiles the project very quickly. Well, now that we have seen how to execute and create a simple Angular project, let's get started with importing some dependencies like Bootstrap and Font Awesome and everything. Well, the index page that you see on the screen right now, you can just inspect it. You can just view the source of the current web page, and you will find the exact same HTML page which you are seeing in the code editor. And the app root is the custom selector which is used by Angular, and all the code is dumped through that selector into the browser, and the rendering is automatically handled by JavaScript. Well, let's get started with the Bootstrap, and we will import these. There are several other ways by which we can import the Bootstrap into our project, but I would like to use this simple method because it helps in, like, it's really easy to upgrade, and not like installing some package from the Node package manager and then again uninstalling and reinstalling the new versions and whatsoever they are. Well, simply then we can just copy the links and paste it right in that HTML file. This is the default HTML file which will eventually be executed, so we can paste in the head, and of course Font Awesome as well, because we will be needing it throughout the project for icons and stuff like that. And I guess we are missing only jQuery, so jQuery CDN as well. It's really that simple. You guys can just Google it out and copy the links, and I will be choosing the minified JS version because it's really small in size. Well, now that we are done with this part, let's just test it out and see whether it's working properly or not. Okay, now we will again recompile the project. And we will just edit a few things to check whether Bootstrap is working properly. So we will remove this HTML code, but before that let's just wait for the compilation to begin. And it's again going to take a few minutes, but this time you guys can see it's running pretty much faster as compared to the first start time. And I guess it's almost complete. Yes, now that the website is running and we have checked and refreshed it, now we will see whether Bootstrap is working or not. So now I will take this container first. It's a Bootstrap class, then a row, and simply we will divide the screen into two halves. So I will take call sm6 twice and just type in some text and see whether they fall apart in two different parts of the screen. left side and the right side. Well, I'm not using text align, so they may look a bit different, but let's see if the classes appear or not. Yes, now the screen, you guys can see the left side and right side of the letters are appearing perfectly fine, the words actually I mean. And yes, the class has been applied because you guys can see the styles being applied on the right part of the screen. And well, I guess the bootstrap is working perfectly fine, and we don't need to worry about other links because we have copied it from the Mac CDN, and they will perfectly work fine once we get started. So that's it. Now we have perfectly configured the bootstrap, and we should start working on the, I guess we should include the Firebase as well, because eventually we will be needing some backend. So well, this is the official link which I'm using right now, and you guys can see I have hosted this on Firebase, and I will definitely share this link with you guys, and you guys can check out whether the website works properly or not. I have just hosted it on Firebase. I mean, Firebase is almost free for developers like us. You can just host it and it's really fast. So all you guys need to do is just create a new project in the console of Firebase, and the name should be unique. Otherwise Firebase will automatically add some numbers and digits as in front of your name in the project ID, and you can see it takes couple of seconds to create, and it is faster, really faster. Well, now that the Firebase project is created, and all we need to do is just install the Firebase tools in our local systems. Just like we have installed Angular, we will be installing Firebase tools as well. So open up your command prompt, and you do not need to be in the directory of your project, but if you are in the directory, that's really fine. So just type in this command npm install firebase-tools. Oh, and we need to install Firebase into our projects first. So basically we will be installing Angular Fire 2 and Firebase into our project, and we will be saving them in the local directory. Well, it takes a few minutes to install, so we will wait for it. Now that we have installed Angular Fire 2 and Firebase into our projects, we need a CLI to use the Firebase from the command line. So I will be installing the Firebase tools from the node package manager. Just type npm install -g firebase-tools, and it will be installed just like Angular in the global directory. And because I have already installed it, I will just show you guys that I have installed, and I don't really need to run that command once again. And you guys can see I have the Firebase tools folder just like Angular CLI, and so I don't really need to run that command once again. Well, once you execute that command and Firebase tools gets installed perfectly, all we're gonna need to do is log in into our Firebase accounts, like the simple Gmail accounts, and first we need to initialize it inside our project. But I guess I will get some error right here, and it will create one file name as firebase.json. right now it's not created. It will create after we have initialized Firebase into our directory. Well, as I thought, I got an error, so I will need to log in first into the Firebase, and you don't really need to open any browser for that, because it will automatically, the command line will automatically open that for you. So just wait for it. It takes couple of minutes, and right there. Okay, just sign into your Gmail account which you use to create that project, and once you allow these permissions, you will be successfully signed in. Well, that's it. Firebase CLI login successful, and there is a success message in the CLI. And now that we have logged in, we can just initialize it into the project folder, and it's gonna take a couple of minutes, and it will ask a few questions. Are you ready to proceed? Yes. And here it gives us a menu where we need to select what all options do we need in our firebase.json file. Well, we will select database. You need to press space key, it's already written in the top, and database, then Firebase, functions, and hosting as well, and then just press enter, and the firebase.json file will be configured automatically. And then it's asking to select a folder, the online projects. So I guess we have already created a project, and we will select that. There are several other projects, but we need to select the project that we created, and just press enter, and you don't really need to change the default settings. It will be automatically managed by the Firebase CLI. And for the functions, we will just use JavaScript, the plain JavaScript format, because although we are using TypeScript into our projects, ultimately it gets compiled into JavaScript, and then the website gets executed. Well, yes, just select yes for everything, because we don't really need to deny any of the dependencies. And now it's gonna take a couple of minutes. Oops. Yes, now it's gonna take a couple of minutes, and then firebase.json file will be created, which will help to manage the Firebase dependencies in our project. So alright, now that the Firebase has been installed, it is asking for the directory. Well, right now we will just leave it as default, and move forward, and just press yes for everything. And now the Firebase is set up, and you guys can see this firebase.json file which gets created, and I will just open the file and show you guys. We need to change a small thing. In the hosting part, you guys can see it's written public in the double quotes. We just need to change it to dist, because once we compile, yes, right there, once we compile our project in the production mode, all the files are into the dist folder. Well, that now we have successfully set up all these things which are required in our project. And now I will show you some files, and this is one of the most important files, that is app_module.ts, and every Angular project has it. Well, you guys can see the imports, declaration, and providers. These all are necessary parts as well. Like for example, this is the first component which gets created, app component.html and ts files. So app component is the first component which is provided by Angular and it's default, so it is declared. But this component will require browser module as an import. So this is the project structure which we are going to follow. Whatever we choose the project name, and then we will be having two different kind of users. First, the common people who can read and write the post, and secondary the admin, which can definitely create, read, update and delete, perform all sort of operations in the website. It's like a website manager, and the user, they will only be able to just read the post and comment on them. And like admin can create those posts, read those posts, update and delete as well. So we will be creating components which will manage these operations, and the components will be like, there will be 5 major components: home, profile, login and sign up, and then an admin component. And all these components will have in common these header, footer and main content components. Why? Because I will just let you know as the project progresses. And the admin component will have this article and category as an extra component to manage all the content, along with the header, footer and main component that's stated in the center of this slide. Well, now we should, let's get started by creating those components. So basically, to create a new component through the CLI, all we need to do is just type ng generate component and then component name. Well, this is the full command, and like we need to create a home component first, so we will just type home, and automatically a home component will be created for us and imported in the app module.ts. And similarly, we will create other components like profile, login, sign up and admin, and also the header, main and footer components. Well, so inside the home component we will create the sub components, and this is the acronym which you can use: ng, g and c. G stands for generate and C stands for component, and then the component name. For example, inside the home folder I need to create a header component, and so that's it. The header component has been created inside the home folder along with the home component, and similarly we will create footer and main component. Main area will be the center part which will hold all the inflow and outflow of data. And now that we have created all the major components inside home, we will create sign up and login component as well. So you guys can create as many components as you want. You just need to decide which components will be required through your project. So just write it down on a paper and create them, because component will be the things that will be holding the views, the data and everything. Now that we have created these components, let's also create the admin component. And I'm creating the admin component inside admin folder. Well, now that I'm creating this header component, this will get into an error because the header components are already being created and imported into the app module.ts. So you guys can see nothing is being imported right now. And although I am creating it inside the admin, then too they will definitely get into the error because they are having the same name, the same class name, that is header component, footer component and main component. So we just need to delete them and rename them because the names of the class should be unique. No two classes can be same inside this project. So now that we have deleted them, as you guys can see, it's already imported by the home component. So we will create admin header, admin footer, and admin main components. I just needed to show you this because many of you guys will think that we are creating these components in different folders, so we can just let them have the same name, but definitely that's not true. They will eventually get into error because of having the same class name. And you guys can see the new imports are there in this app module.ts file, and similarly we will import all other components. Actually the components get imported automatically, we do not need to do anything. But once we create services are something, they're also like components, but they do not have any views like the HTML part. They only help us to manage the interaction from the database. They just fetch the data and keep them and help the components to display the data, display this fetched data for the user. So now we are going to create one global service which will, I guess, hold the data which is required by the whole project, the whole website. So to generate a service, we can just type the same command ng generate, and then we are changing the keyword service because we are creating a service, not a component. And the services is of type injectable and not a type of a component because it does not hold any view, and it will be created in the root of app directory. And yes, now that the services are created, we will create a couple of more services for the home component and the admin component. So here also you can use the acronyms ng, g, then s, and then the service name. Well, right now it's really not necessary, but I am just letting you guys know that there are several options which you can use, and it sometimes takes a couple of minutes now. Yes, the service of home service has also been created. So, and just like components which get automatically imported into the app module.ts, the services are not automatically imported, so we need to import them. And here we go with the admin service, and actually these services need to be provided throughout the project. So in the app module.ts, we will import them inside this providers selector. So global service, then I guess we have created home service and admin service. So admin service right there, and home service, I guess. Yes, the home service. Now that we have imported all these services and components, so basically the project is almost complete, and you will not find any changes right now because we haven't done any changes in the HTML and the TypeScript part of our components. But basically when we will get started, you will see how the project progresses. And we don't really need this part because it was only for testing purpose whether the bootstrap is working or not. And the assets folder, basically it will contain all the I guess images and stuff like that.